Hi, it's Gab and Dad back with Gab Dad back with another review from TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival 2012. Another big title, which is anticipated being released, I think, in October. A lot of buzz. Cloud Atlas. Dad, what's Cloud Atlas about? I'm glad you get this job. What's Cloud Atlas about? Based on a book.
Based on a book by David Mitchell, a very well thought of book. It was shortlisted for the Booker Prize, which is no small thing. What's it about? It's 6 linked stories set at 6 different periods of time, ranging from the early 19th century to some undefined post-apocalyptic period. And the stories are linked in the sense that in each story there are characters who bear, shall we say, an uncanny resemblance to the characters in the other stories.
Physical resemblance because they're played by the same actors.
Well, but more than physical.
Also,
it's really in a sense, each story tells the same story about these particular characters, although obviously different because of the different time in which they're living.
But I think it suggested that it's the soul. It's almost reincarnation.
Well, one of the lines I remember in the film is, "People die, but love does not."
Okay.
So in some sense, it's how, even though the physical body may die, some of the... Just a moment. Don't stop interrupting me. Some of the qualities that were contained within that body live on. It's basically a sort of an argument or a depiction of reincarnation.
Yeah, or certainly a reincarnation of spiritual and philosophical ideas. And I think the main thrust, philosophical or humanist thrust, is about each story has sort of a emancipation type of scenario.
That's
slavery, freedom, seeking truth, seeking freedom.
That's true.
So I think that thematically.
Although in some cases it's clearer than in other cases.
Yeah, and I don't know if this description is clear because it's a very dense it's a complex idea and approach to the idea to wrap your mind around.
Well,
does it pull it off?
Well, let me just say, I'm not sure that the idea is that complex, really. I mean, the implementation or depiction of the idea may be complex, but the idea itself is not that complex.
I'll give you that.
Does it pull it off? I wanted to like this film. I mean, I liked the trailer, and I thought I wanted to like this film.
Another sucker falls for the trailer.
Yeah. But
happens every day.
And I mean, in a sense, they do pull it off, but there were some serious flaws in this film, I thought, that really affected my enjoyment of it.
Yeah, I sort of know what you're saying. You have to admire the attempt and some of what is accomplished. Some of it is accomplished, because of the successes, you want to feel even more.
You want to like it more than you
want
actually
to like
do.
it more, and you want it to transport you more than I think it does. So let's talk about the successes first. For me, it was just very entertaining overall. I mean, most of the stories in and of themselves, of the 6, I found and they're all inter-edited, by the way. They're not shown chronologically.
Yes, and often they cut back and forth at almost alarming speed.
Yeah, and I greatly admire how they try to assemble it that way, but also in some ways I just wanted to be able to concentrate on the individual stories because some of them I really enjoyed very much as almost individual stories. And meanwhile, you're worrying about, well, how does this tie in? And you're sort of trying to figure out the other levels without just being absorbed in singular stories. Yeah. So that's a bit of a flaw for me, but also a success because it was very entertaining, a lot of the stories, and the jumping around. While discombobulating, it did make you think even more than you would have if you'd observed them separately. And as we mentioned, actors played multiple roles, such as Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Well, I disagree. It's a gimmick. You said to me that's a gimmick, and it is distracting.
With a kind of false nose. I mean,
because they all sort of look weird, and it
looks like some kind of drag.
But I also thought it was kind of neat because I like how thematically it's appropriate. I like the attempt because of the way that the story is structured, and I just think artistically it was just kind of neat to watch.
I disagree. I just thought it was sort of silly, and that was one of my problems with the film.
Okay.
It was too gimmicky. It was, look how clever we are. It's the same people playing all these different characters, and reinforced, by the way, at the end of the film when they show you each one in the different costumes.
But I found it very satisfying.
Look how clever we are. It was too much.
The audience applauded that when they saw it.
Well, yeah, it was too much. Look, Ma, no hands. So I didn't like that about it. And there were some parts of the story that I thought were very mysterious. Not necessarily a bad thing. Never properly explained. Like, for example, the music, the Cloud Atlas composition. It was never clear to me the sextet, by the way, incorrectly described at one point as a symphony by one of the characters. I noticed that, but it was unclear how that. It was a bit puzzling, although a certain amount of puzzling was all right. One of my biggest problems with this film was the acting. I thought Tom Hanks was really weak, badly cast, and I thought Halle Berry, ditto, really weak, badly cast. Jim Broadbent, excellent.
He's always great.
Excellent.
I didn't have a problem with
and
the
Chris
acting.
Renshaw, is that his name, is one of my up-and-coming favourite actors. He was in a wonderful BBC television series called The Hour. He's in it. He plays the young amanuensis of the composer. But he was good. But Hanks and Halle Berry, bad. Bad. And that was a problem for me. I mean, they're so kind of one-dimensional, so kind of bland, so dull.
But isn't that a problem of the writing?
I think it was the opposite of what you needed in that film.
Well, okay, now you're touching on too. Okay, I've said it was very interesting. I was always interested. I was most of the time entertained. What I wasn't by this film was moved. And you just sort of touched into that. Especially, again, go back to the trailer. Birth, death, life. I love shit like that. Tree of life. I mean, I want to feel shit. I want, move me. Show me the life up on the screen. The circle of life in the universe and all its mysteries. This film purports to and tries to sort of give you these answers and this spectacle. And I didn't feel moved. I didn't feel that emotional level.
There's also a lot of cliche.
Transporting myself to.
There's a lot of cliche in this movie too. A lot of the so-called highfalutin philosophy is just kind of cliche rubbish.
It didn't quite pull it off, but it was very entertaining.
But it is an interesting
to watch, and I want to watch it again. I want to be able to sort of piece together. There's all sorts of connections and references to the other stories and levels that I'm sure I missed, and I'd like to really appreciate that again. And this is a case where maybe the book is better, or I'd actually be very interested now to read the book.
Yeah, no, any interest I had in reading the book is now gone.
Okay, so Dad.
That's enough Cloud Atlas for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dad it.
Dad it? Difficult. I think I'll give it 3 3/4 dads. Maybe I'm being fairly generous, but I'm giving it some credit for being different.
That's sort of like me. I think I ended up being a bit more entertained than you, and I'm going to give it 3.8 Gabs because of what I mentioned, the things it does have going for it. I am now, because quarters don't always cut it. I liked it a bit more than you, so if you give it 3 3/4, but it's not an A.
I wouldn't rush out to see this film.
It's interesting.
I think this is the film you can wait, until it's on demand.
It might be better at home to absorb it, but it is a spectacle to be seen on the screen in some respects. This is a tough one, folks. Sorry, that's what we can do for you for Cloud Atlas.
There we go, Cloud Atlas.
Thanks for watching.
And when you're reincarnated, next time, and when you're
living
in a post-apocalyptic world, we'll still be here.
We'll be here like cockroaches.
We'll be here.